A/B testing is one of the most misunderstood tools in design. And people think it's complicated, and it's really not. You show group A one version, and then you show group B an alternative version. They're not too dissimilar from one another. They have minute changes to them. And the whole point of it is you want to measure which is better, version A or version B. And that's it. It's kind of like a cruise line offering two different packages and then tracking which package is more appealing to folks. Is it package A or package B? Which one sells better? Simple concept, complex execution. Because the hard part is always going to be the logistics. You set up the test, but then you're waiting for the traffic to get to the test. So it's a bit of a waiting game. And you could be waiting like weeks for statistical significance. But then once you have it, you can analyze all of that data to figure out which package from the cruise line worked better, A or B. And it's so crazy because historically, we've run these A/B tests and it's taken a long time, right? It's taken weeks. But now things are changing because before you could only run really one test at a time, and then you'd have to take those results. You'd have to formulate another alternative, let's say B1, then you'd have B1, B2. Your B would become your new A, and then you would continue testing. You just didn't have the infrastructure to take that new winner and rapidly A/B test from that winner. But AI has changed all of that. So grade 1, multi-arm bandits. Instead of splitting traffic 50-50 and then waiting, like historically we've done, AI algorithms dynamically shift more traffic to the winner or the winning variant as the data comes in. So the benefit of this is that the guest gets the better experience significantly sooner. You get results faster as a designer, so you can rapidly iterate based on actual data. It's so cool. Then we have grade 2. This is AI-generated variants. Also, shout out to Crafted. Thank you for the new notebook. Number 2 is wild for an upgrade because you don't actually have to design the test. You can and you should, and I would recommend that. But let's say you're in a pinch and you're trying to do a million things at once. You're trying to be the UXR and the UX and the graphic designer and the PO. What you can do is you can go into this second upgrade, which is describing what you want to test, put it into AI. It will generate a test plan for you, and then it will generate all of the different variants for you. And I would say the best use case for this is copy variants. So if you're a copywriter, or if you don't have a copywriter, which is most of us, you can quickly do this to rapidly figure out what copy is more appealing to your audience. The best part about this is that this plan will automatically generate new variants as it figures out the winners in the test. So let's say you have A and B. B wins, it will quickly move on automatically and say, okay, now I need to test B and D. And it will go all the way through from like A to J. And J is your winner. So the coolest part about this is that you're getting so many different options tested that you would normally have to test in the wild. But so normally you would have to test this in the wild, right? And it would take a lot of time. But there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do it in the wild. And even if you do this in the wild, it still takes less time because you're not manually tracking which one wins, putting the copy in, sending it to the designer to update it in Adobe or Figma, and then uploading it into Facebook and Google and doing this whole process over and over again until you get to J. To do that, to repeat that from A to J, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, that's 10 sessions. Okay, that could literally be 10 business days, 10 weeks. A lot of time to get real data, it's about at least, I would say, a week. If you're in like Facebook, Google, if you're a social media manager. But it's nice because you don't have to manually track it. Let's say you're doing it in these socials. You don't have to manually track that. The AI will track it for you. And it's good because like then you don't have to figure out, okay, when do I call it? When do I know which one won? The AI will set that threshold for you so that it can automatically determine the winner and move on. So let me give you real travel examples. Cruise line tests 2 different page layouts, and this is very common for all of us. So let's give you some examples. So we have option A, which is a page and it has a really big hero image. And then B has some sort of table where it compares prices, let's say. So A, B. right? So as B starts to convert, it will automatically go, okay, so let's test B with the table. And because it's a cruise line, it leaves from many, many different ports. Maybe B was testing different cruise ships. So again, different cruise ships have different packages. It might leave from the same port. It might be the same number of days. But maybe C says, okay, B had so much interest in a particular cruise ship, let's say the Disney Treasure, and I want to figure out what are the best dates for these folks for the Disney Treasure. Because again, if that's what your audience is interested in, you want to capitalize on that to quickly bring them down the sales funnel. So this might be, maybe there's a calendar down here and it pops up when you click on a certain route. The benefit of doing this is that it very quickly capitalizes on this audience who is interested in seeking out and picturing what their vacation could look like, because you're reducing the amount of dropouts in your sales funnel. Again, it's always about sales and money. That's what we do as designers. And you know what? Give the people what they want. The benefit of doing this is if you work for a company like a cruise line where your business is solely around providing a service, so in this sense, travel service, those are a bit easier to track because there is an end result that is a monetary result. So it's data-wise, it's just easier to distill that down into how much money this test was able to bring into the business. Another example is airlines and baggage fees. There's a few ways that you can display those baggage fees. It can be an upfront progressive disclosure, can be bundled, can be part of your ticket. And the benefit of using AI in this case is that there could be multiple display points of where to put those baggage fees. So AI can rapidly figure out where people are going, where they would most likely hover. Again, if we're thinking of like the old time heat maps, where would people expect to see the baggage fees so that they understand, one, it's transparent, and two, they can add another bag if they need to, again, upselling. And also, once they have that, you'll also be able to figure out, okay, what's the abandonment rate? But the most important thing is being transparent for these folks so they get the total estimated price of their fare. Third example is push notifications for a queue or for like the line. Let's say in a theme park, you're in line and you're trying to figure, oh my gosh, I'm so close to the airport. Let's see a plane and the stadium and rain and the waterfall. It's very cool. Being here is very cool. Let's say you're in a line at Disney World or Knott's Berry Farm, and you're trying to figure out the best way as a designer to provide the people in the line the amount of time that they'll have to wait in that line. AI can figure out the positioning of when to send those and in real time. So what is the benefit of doing this? The benefit is that you have less upset people, you have less screaming children, you have more happy moms and dads and grown-ups who aren't stressed out by the amount of people in this queue. It helps move around the traffic, which again, if you're moving people around a theme park and you have little snack stations, that's an upselling opportunity. So it's not just about making people happy, but on the business end, it's retention and it's also sales of the snacks and the treats. And AI can generate all of these different tests in a very rapid chronological order to help you make those sales and to help you build that retention for the theme park. But I do want to pause because let's go back to the example of the baggage fees, just because you're getting more click rates or more red in the heat map, whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily mean you're giving them more trust. You're being more transparent, but you still have to build the trust. Same with signups. Like just because you sign up doesn't mean there's better retention. So we have to be careful when we use AI. I would recommend that you actually write out your test and then it can help you iterate on your test to make it better. It can test the wrong thing if you just let it go rogue. But if you start off really strong in the beginning and you set what the goals are for your actual test, it can help you iterate throughout, not just in the beginning about how to make it better. I always recommend asking qualifying questions because it will ask you very specific things to make your test better. And then it can give you recommendations on maybe a few different options so that you choose which avenue you want to go down for your test. So we talked about a lot of things. So here's my recommendations on what questions you should be asking AI if you're trying to do an A/B test. So number one, what decision is this going to inform? Like, don't just run an A/B test, but what are you trying to actually achieve? If you don't know, I would not run this test because most AI tools with the business have credits and you don't want to just spend the credits willy-nilly if you don't actually have a plan. Question 2 is what metric actually matters? And this is where I would recommend asking AI for the clarifying questions because it can tell you if that metric makes sense for what it thinks you're trying to test. It might recommend something better to track metric-wise, and then you can ask it about that to learn a little bit of the differences between what you recommended and what it recommends for the metric. And that way you're trying to get back to the user. You're not just testing necessarily for just the business. You're testing for what your users need to provide value to the business so that the business can get value out of those users. And then I'm like a huge fan of doing the bookends. I'm always like a realist. I'm a very positive person, but I'm also a realist. So I always want to know, what won't the data tell us? Like, what would be the gap? My superpower, by the way, is filling out the grows in an experience. So I'm always going to ask, what won't it tell me? So that I have clear expectations of what AI can deliver and what it cannot deliver. Maybe it's that it won't necessarily be able to tell you what their motivations are because it can't track a certain section of your website. So a lot of times it won't get the qualitative side. It's really only going to get the quantitative side. So that could look like it won't be able to tell you the motivations of what people are trying to accomplish. It's just tracking what they actually do step by step. It's not tracking what they're thinking, how they're feeling, etc. That's the power of using qualitative testing, so something like user testing, and quantitative, which is what the AI can help with something like Google Analytics. So if you ask the right questions in both realms, in both types of data tests, you can have a very cohesive and fairly quick, especially with usertesting.com right now and all of their AI features and all of Google Analytics features. All of these agents can help you rapidly produce a very cohesive picture of what your users need, want, and are actually doing. AI-powered A/B testing uses multi-armed bandits. And this, again, used to be so manual. But now with AI, it's so fast. It's auto-generated variants. It's real-time significance, which allows you, by the way, to test a lot faster. But AI optimizes metrics. It doesn't optimize meaning. So here's your quick AI win. Open ChatGPT, Claude, Google, and paste this before your next test. I'm running an A/B test on whatever your test is on. Help me answer these questions. What specific metric best represents real user value? And what qualitative question should I be pairing in my qualitative test with this test so that I understand the cohesiveness of the data? This could take you 30 seconds and it's better test design every single time because AI runs the test. You just ask the question. So don't mix those up. I'm Jill. This is Design and Travel. Thank you so much for joining me in Seattle. I would love to know in the comments, what's the coolest AI generated A/B test that you did and what were the final results? Did it surprise you? Did it not surprise you? Drop it below. Till next time.